Yeah, one time I was at Sundance, and there's like a lot of industry people there being like, do I want to buy this movie? I can't remember what one it was anymore. We just sat down, and then the Blumhouse logo came up on screen. Somebody starts laughing and walked out. Welcome to Camp Counselors, a more butter show where we discuss, debate, and just basically talk about whatever we want, usually some kind of movie that is bad. I am your host, AmandaTheJedi, and I am joined by my co-host...
KennieJD. I'm back, baby, bringing more inanimate things that kill people. Yeah,
and it's
just a list. It's just a list of ongoing ones, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
I think ultimately I've solidified what I bring to camp counselors.
If we can find a movie about butter killing people, we'll have officially, we'll have to shut down the whole thing. We'll have to find the butter murder.
I was going to say, because like today as a preface, we're going to be talking about Slaxx. Yeah. And I was confused about all the ways you could kill somebody with pants. And now I'm just more so thinking like, how could we do butter as like an actual ominous presence? Like I was thinking, okay, obviously like someone slips on butter.
Yeah, burn. Like it just heats itself up a lot and just like goes over you and just...
It turns you into like a lobster adjacent. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a hunk of butter with teeth is always like a safe bet. Something with teeth.
I like to imagine that it can solidify and liquefy. So in solidified forms, it could just like jab itself down your throat.
This is going to sound... I'm surprised that I'm not surprised by any of that sentence at all. But the thing that I was going to say, though, is that on Twitter one time, I think it was A24 that was like, pitch us your horror movie ideas.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to say it on here just in case it actually happens. But it was something about spiders. And
I think I saw this. Yeah, I think I saw you.
I don't even remember entirely my entire pitch, but if I can find the tweet, we can edit it in. Oh, fuck it. A24, pitch my spider movie. There you go.
There you go. They should. They'll do anything.
They'll do anything.
They'll do anything.
But, also, though, on More Butter, I also have a show called In Defense Of, because I always forget to plug it at some point, so I need to do it here.
Hell yeah.
Like, it's become a running gag where it's like, I'll plug everything else, but forget to plug the show. So I also have In Defense Of. It's a show where I defend or talk shit about movies that either bombed at the box office or got really low ratings. Apparently me and Amanda are currently at odds about my last one that went out.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim. We are at odds. We are at odds. I have grown to... These things kind of disgust me now because they're everywhere, but I have every single Scott Pilgrim Funko Pop. I could pay for a semester of college.
You really could
with this collection.
And if it's annoying you because you see them everywhere, you should really consider.
No, it's the other ones. It's like, because like I had a handful, and then people would like send them to me as like gifts, and I was like, oh, that's so nice. And then eventually you're just like, and it's like beady little eyes are everywhere, and you're like, I only want the Scott Pilgrim collectibles now, thank you.
I mean, in fairness, that's what I was saying before we started filming. I was like, I'm afraid to read the comments because I'm sure I'm getting just annihilated in there. But I have to speak my truth.
I agree with you. And that's why I know, as someone who's just like, I love this, I will just stay away from that video and be like, speak your truth. It's not mine. But we can argue about it separately. That'll be different.
Like maybe that is something like maybe going forward for next season or whatever, like bringing more people who explicitly disagree with my ruling for a fight.
Yeah, we had like talked about that. We had talked about trying to find things that are just really polarizing, which would be fun. But yeah, if you ever want to bring me on In Defense Of, I guess that's also something that could go there.
That'd be funny. Yeah, I'm down with that. And but just as a general catch up before we dive deep into Slaxx, because there's much to say, I'm sure.
There's much to say.
Any like cool things that you've been watching on TV and stuff? Because the reason I bring this up is because I saw your video on adopting adults. And I was like, this sounds like a clusterfuck. I must venture more into it.
It is. I want the remaining 7 episodes so badly, literally just for like one storyline. Like most of them are like, okay, you're hamming it up for the camera and like, oh, this is just completely normal. Oh, you were foster children and you want to be formally adopted by your father. That's fine. That's normal. Right. And then there's like, is this
the guy that's definitely trying to fuck
Yeah, exactly. And then there's like the weird like the guy who was married to like Zaza Gabor, who just has like this slew of adopted children, and he just likes being in like the media, in the news. So he's just it's like all fake and a show for him, which is fine. That's also exciting. But then there's like there's some potential actual legal activity going on, but I don't know.
I was like, particularly in regards to like how fucked up it is to be like, I want you to audition to be my child.
Yes. Yeah, because at first I was like, like if he's gonna like give you a bunch of money, that's cool. But then he's all like, yes, they give me gifts and stuff to like get the chance at my inheritance type thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought this was like the way he's talking about it. It's like, it sounds like he's making like sugar daddy offers. Like that's what people think is going to be happening. But then like behind the scenes, it's like, but what are you going to give me for the benefits of taking care of me until I die? It's amazing.
Pragmatic man. He said, what am I getting on?
Very pragmatic.
And then just like the other guy who's definitely like living out this weird like fan fiction-y idea of like this woman that he can adopt who will fall in love with him.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted. I'm happy that it's over, but also, damn, that if you still have the 7 episodes, I wouldn't be opposed.
I do. Like, I just want to know what happened. Yeah. There's so many weird conspiracies, but that's Reddit. Reddit just makes weird conspiracies about things, but oh my God. It's wild. Other than that, I don't think I've been watching anything too outlandishly exciting. There's a movie coming out, it might already be out where you are, called Everything Everywhere All at Once. And it's fucking amazing. It's so good. It stars Michelle Yeoh. Probably said her name wrong, but like so fucking good. I think that's really going to be like this year. I hope that's going to be this year's kind of like indie, but not quite indie push into the mainstream. And it's really, really good.
Were you able to see it at like a film festival beforehand or?
No, I was supposed to see it at South by Southwest in Texas, and then I didn't go. And then I basically just reached out and was like, because it's being distributed by, I think it's A24, and like there's one guy there that he'll usually hook me up with everything, but for like anything at South by, they were like, no, but like if you're in any of these locations, we can like send you to like an early screening. So I did one of those.
So okay, cool.
It worked out. Yeah.
Oh, now I need to be like, hey. Oh, wait, you have the push? That's how we're going to get the Spider movie made. How else?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to reach out to my dude and then like, I know you're a publisher, but like, can you just, you know what? If A24 won't take it, I'm sure Blumhouse will.
Oh, Blumhouse takes a bunch of shit. I'm sure
That's what I mean. Blumhouse, their whole market is all like, we're going to make it as cheap as possible and people are going to see it. So we always make our money back and it doesn't matter. That's their model.
Marketing. Love it.
It works. Absolutely. And then every once in a while, they make something like fucking Whiplash and get Oscar nominations. And then they're just like back to like, okay, back to the Lucy Hale cinematic universe.
They're just throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks at the end of the day.
It's great. Yeah, one time I was at Sundance, and usually Sundance is a lot of indie movies that haven't been picked up for wider distribution or something. So there's like a lot of industry people there being like, do I want to rep this movie? Do I want to buy this movie? I can't remember what one it was anymore, but we just sat down and then the Blumhouse logo came up on screen. So they had clearly like paid for it. And somebody starts laughing and walked out. Like this dude just in a full thing of like critics and industry people, the Blumhouse logo comes on the screen. He's like, ha! and he just stood up and walked out. Because he was just like, my company doesn't want this, basically, or a critic like, no, thank you.
No, thank you. There's nothing you can offer me at all.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, this isn't why I'm here. So good.
But
yeah, that kind of like leads us into Slaxx because somehow we've been going for like 14 editors are going to be like,
are you going to what you said to like talk about your life and now
we're like, to segue, I had happened to have somehow already seen this movie. I was ready
distributed by,
to have this conversation.
Distributed by Shudder, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this could be anywhere on the gamut, because when I think of Shudder, I do think of like kind of tongue-in-cheeky kind of horror movies. So
yeah, they do occasionally get like really good stuff, or they distribute really good stuff, but usually they tend to pick up the stuff that like A24 isn't picking up, or Neon isn't picking up, or some like bigger, or even Blumhouse or like Netflix. They'll pick up like some of those smaller ones, and this is kind of where that definitely falls. So like when I had seen it, they had not picked it up yet. It was just like out there. So like good for them.
Good for them.
Getting that distribution.
Write that script, man. That's what I always say.
That script.
Whatever you think you want to write, someone will pick it up.
So yeah, basically just to give you like the brief idea of Slaxx is a movie about killer genes.
Yes.
It's genes that kill people. It's a comedy horror, or a horror comedy. As you could probably tell, I don't know how serious you could play a movie about killer genes.
But they did try to pull like a general like morality thing in regards to like sweatshop work, which I'm not gonna lie, took me by surprise. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like watching this and I'm like, it's hard to say. So just basically the premise is that this girl starts working at like this Hollister type store.
Yeah.
I guess like the idea of fast fashion. And there's like this new launch of a product, and people just start trying on this particular pair of pants that then starts basically just like eating you. Just sucking the blood and just,
sucking the blood.
It's a whole thing.
Like, I guess the jeans are like their new release. It's supposed to be like the perfect jean, the perfect like
it always finds the way to perfectly sculpt around you.
Right, it's
and
unisex, and so it's like it's supposed to be fit to like whoever's body, and then it like crushes you alive and sucks your blood. They also fly. They also walk on their own.
Yeah, they do the like super,
and it's
super fun.
I was gonna say like of all the editing tricks, the standing walking alone pants were personally the most effectively horrifying for some reason.
Yeah, because it's like the Invisible Man, and you're just like, what the fuck? It's like, what the.
And then
it's so ridiculous.
But basically, this girl, she looks like she's maybe 16 or something. She comes in to work with everyone. Everyone's like really snooty and kind of like higher than thou. And there's a point at which they bring in the like head, I guess the CEO or something of the company, and he introduces these pants. And they become like this big commodity. They bring in influencers to try it. And along the way, we discover that the reason why the pants are possessed or something was because it had the soul of a child in India that died picking the cotton for the pants.
Yeah. She basically fell into the cotton shredder thing, like the thing the mill, I think, the cotton mill. Yeah.
And so her soul is in the pants wanting vengeance, I guess.
Yeah, because it's all like, I died so that you could have jeans that you're not going to wear in 6 months. Like the whole idea of like fast fashion and like what people sacrifice for fast fashion, which like, how do you feel? Because like, it's pretty normal that like horror movies, especially nowadays, and they've always done it to some degree, infuse some kind of like deeper meaning, or even like a lot of the comedy ones, like, Fresh just came out, which is like a dark horror comedy that's kind of about like dating and different scenarios that like involve women and stuff like that. And then, you know, obviously you have like things like Get Out. How do you feel a movie like this where the premise is just so outlandish in one way and then it's like really actually tackling like a very serious issue?
I think
how do you feel about how that in something like this?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, in other things, even if we were to do like a comparison of like Get Out or other Peele works, for instance, like there is this like heavy moral, but it doesn't generally feel tonally disconnected.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Like, I liked Get Out, but my biggest gripe with Get Out was like the comedic relief guy, because he broke the tension in a way that I felt was unnecessary. But like,
that's fair. I like that guy, but I also get that.
I felt like
I get that
he wasn't for this movie. I felt like
yeah, because I think there is like a fair amount of comedy in Get Out, but it's more of like a holy fuck, I can't believe
it's, like,
it's that kind. It's oh shit comedy. It's very similar to like Ari Aster, like Midsommar, you know, and Hereditary. It's like things will happen and you're laughing, and it's not because it's funny, it's because you're fucking uncomfortable. And it's like the only thing you can do is laugh to get through it,
like,
type
you know,
thing.
when you have like the elder of the cult being like, I might have eaten some pubes or whatever, and it's like, yeah,
exactly.
Like,
you're like,
yeah, definitely, you're probably right. It's like, okay,
yeah,
but like in a movie like this, the entire premise is jeans with teeth to come out of nowhere to be like, I feel like we need to make this a reason. I feel like we need to make this have a point.
We're going to make a statement about fast fashion and child labor.
I think it's really funny because I do understand like the idea to basically always have a moral in your movie if you're going to take the energy and money and everything to make it. But I feel like in this movie, I don't know how well it worked because I was like, oh yeah, I'm going into a movie to hear about killer jeans, and then all of a sudden you're like colonize.
Look how evil
colonization. All your fast fashion that you wear because you don't have any money. You're killing Indian children, and it's like, I mean,
it's like you're missing like the system in between, where right now you're terrorizing a bunch of like college kids and high schoolers, and like, you know, the occasional influencer, but you're not going at the like, okay, well, who made the institution that fast fashion is cycling through, and it's this huge issue. That like they're now starting to put rules in place. Like some places are going to start banning it. Like there has to be like a certain quality to the clothing, and like, which I appreciate. I'm weird though. I don't know, like, because I live in a really small town, so most of what we have are like bigger chain brands. But like, I can make a pair of jeans from American Eagle last for like 10 years.
I've never really had that
like,
issue. Like the thing that I also found interesting in it, I guess they were tackling this, if they were trying to tackle the systematic thing at all, it was just basically about how like brands say that they're organic or like they don't have like fair trade, and like they have fair trade and everything, and it's like no sweatshops, blah, 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 but they probably like what is actually there to regulate that. They can just say whatever in a lot of situations.
Yeah, everybody is ethical until you get caught doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. Like it happens all the time. You find out like guitar companies are like sourcing illegal rosewood, and then they get shit ton with stuff. And then you got like Nestle just going around the world doing whatever the fuck they want.
I only like touched. I was in college, and my professor just brought up in passing some like horrific shit that Nestle did, and I was like, oh my God, is there any joy? I can't eat chocolate. Like, are you fucking kidding?
Can't eat chocolate.
Can't do anything. It's like,
you can't have any iced tea. Like, what?
Like, if it's not one thing, it's something else. It's like, so exactly. I'm just like,
and then it gets to the point you're just like, I can't win, so why fight it?
And so like, with something like fast fashion, I think it's also interesting because I think a lot of times people are just like, don't buy fast fashion. And I'm like, I understand if you're talking about like just overconsumption in general, but it's like,
yeah.
Some people don't have $400 for a pair of jeans that's gonna last forever in a day, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like everybody talks about it, like it's called like the shoe theory. Usually, is that like if you're somebody who has like a good amount of money, you can invest in like a good pair of work boots.
Right.
You know, you pay a couple, maybe $100, $200 for a really good pair of boots, and then if you're someone who like, well, I can't afford that, so I'm gonna go buy the like 30 pair of boots. But then that 30 pair of boots is gonna like break within 6 months, so then you have to buy another 30 pair of boots. But then the person who spent like 100, 200, they're rocking for the next like 20 years maybe. Whereas you have now spent like $1,000 on boots because you don't have the money to the upfront thing. And that usually ends up being the issue with like jeans and stuff. It's like you have like the $20 to go buy a pair of like George brand Dickies or something at Walmart, or do you have the like $200 to go buy a pair of Levi's?
And then also the awkward conversation of how like expensive jeans are also just the same jeans from Walmart as well.
A lot of them are.
Like, we don't know what we're getting out of that at all.
Yeah, like very rarely will you have companies that are like, no, like we're like really ethically sourcing this. This is really high quality. The stitching's better for like XYZ reasons. But like, again, I think I'm wearing a pair of jeans from American Eagle that I've had for like 5 years and they're fine. And I don't know. I just wait for sales. But again, I get like the fast fashion itself is an issue, but it's one of those things that like the consumer can't be the one
That's how I feel
to make the change other than like don't buy stuff you don't need.
That's
obviously.
How I feel.
Like, I think people can fall into that. Well,
that's how I feel about just like environmental shit in general. It's like I, as one person, I'm the one that takes the responsibility on killing the earth and not the multi-billion-dollar companies dumping oil into the fucking river. Yes,
that's what I mean.
I'm the person for like not turning my water off.
Yeah, we're like that
enough.
person. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like we're that person outside of like an apartment building fire, taking little buckets of water and like throwing them on one little corner. Meanwhile, the fire has now spread to the next house, and we're just like we're like the little Band-Aid. Like it has to.
And singular tablespoon to get the water. Like we can each like shut the hell up. I don't have $1 billion like oil ocean in the middle of the thing. What are you talking about?
Like I'll try to do little things like, you know, if I can walk somewhere, I'll do that instead of taking my car. And like I'll, you know, try, you know, I don't leave all my lights running and I try to recycle and, you know, things like that. But like we can't make a dent
a factory
if like the corporations are just like trying to trickle that down to the consumer, because it's never going to make a difference. And it's like the same thing with fast fashion. If everybody just suddenly stopped buying the jeans, they're just going to get all of those child labor people to buy whatever people are buying. They're going to get them to make whatever people are buying. That's just like tragically, that's like a systemic issue that we can't fix.
I'm sitting here like, okay, I do find myself like getting in this general nihilistic viewpoint in general when it comes to certain things like this. And I'm trying to like balance out between just say fuck it and like, because at this point when this is going into a completely non-jeans related thing, non-Slaxx, we haven't talked about, we're like, yeah, it's a movie about a we'll circle back. But I think about like when people are like, yep, global warming is still warming, and it's like, well, fuck, it's like, yep, if we don't stop in like 3 years, this shit is gonna crack in half like an egg. And it's like, wow, that sounds crazy. That would be a crazy ass day. When you can see the mantle of the earth like a yolk, yeah, that's gonna be a rough time.
So what you're saying is that I should spend all of my worldly assets
so what
today.
You're saying is I should go see that polar bear before there's nothing left. Like, I don't know what you expect me to say. It's like, stop eating cow now, because otherwise I'm like, I could give up beef. I don't know like what you want me to do.
I know, it's like so weird. It's so weird. I will say the movie does try to cycle back into the movie because I get the nihilism. I'm always in a mix of like give a damn and like you gotta stop giving a damn.
If the world
if
the world is gonna crack open like an egg, it's gonna crack open like an egg.
Yeah, like what do you want?
And then the billionaires will fly to the moon, and this just the rest of it.
Exactly. Like I think a month ago they were like, guys, if we go to Venus, like the ground level, the air is not good, but if you go up a couple meters or something, like it's the same technically arid blah 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 as like Earth. So we just need to build dome cities above. And I'm like, we are getting to the point that we were talking logistically about how to make Venus work as a community compound. And why don't we use why can't we do that exactly? Like, what can we do that here? It's fucking wild. But yeah, I guess in this movie, like towards the end, like the whole thing, the only way to get the pants to stop is to essentially like go to the media. They kind of have to like, she figures that like the main girl figures out what the story is about what happened to this child laborer. And they basically have to force the company to admit like, hey, our humanitarian thing.
Humanitarian at all.
Yeah, it's not humanitarian at all. We exploit everything just like everyone else. And then like you have to like expose the story to get it to stop. I actually can't remember what happens. I know that like they get
everyone still, because I think I watched it a few days ago and took absolutely no notes, and that shows readiness. Yeah, this is the quality you subscribe to. But like at one point, like everyone died, and I was like, "Is this just like because a bunch of customers like rushed in to get the jeans, and everyone just like got
and then the pants go on a killing spree, basically.
Vengeance,
which is great.
Pants.
Yeah. It doesn't just end with her with like the memory card of like everything that happened, and then she can either like go somewheres with it or
I think if I remember correctly, she got like trapped inside of the store because they had it like on lockdown because they had.
Oh no! Wait! She gets trampled to death, doesn't she? She's trying to go with them, and she's got it in her hand, and then she ends up being another victim
of
capitalism.
Because it was on lockdown because they had the influencer girl in and they didn't want anybody else to see it. And she got strangled by the jeans on camera.
She did.
And that's what she was going to show everybody. Like, the jeans come alive. Because how else are you going to defend? You're like, I'm telling you that the jeans have the spirit of dead children from India who worked to pick the cotton for this, and the woman got strangled.
Her blood is in this crime.
Literally. It strangled her to death on camera. Like, how else do you defend this moment in your life?
So, like, some say that the jeans are still out there.
I think, especially
killing softly.
That's how I feel about quarantine jeans. I was like, I put on 5 pounds and now I'm being strangled to death. Just like, is this what you want to tell me? Is this what is... No! Oh my God. Why, hello there. Popping in to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Jarritos Soda, who is quite possibly my favorite soda to ever come in a glass bottle. Jarritos Soda comes in 12 flavors, so you're sure to find one that you like. The flavors are Mexican Cola, grapefruit, tamarind, strawberry, mandarin, lime, guava, pineapple, one of my favorites, mango, another one of my favorites, watermelon, passion fruit, fruit punch, and Jamaica, not to be confused with Jamaica. They're made with real sugar, all natural flavors, and are made with no HFCs. As of right now, my favorite flavors keep changing. At first, I was always like a fruit punch, strawberry girl. Now I'm leaning towards mango or pineapple. So if you would like to try every flavor, you can check it out by going to the link in the description box so you can get your personal Jarritos Fiesta Pack at Walmart. Big thanks again to Jarritos Soda for sponsoring today's video.
But yeah, do you think that this movie would have done better without a more serious storyline? Do you think it could have done the concept of fast fashion without it having to like directly tie back into like the spirit of a dead
As a
child labor.
Note, I wonder though, because like I was telling my friend about it very quickly, and I was like, yeah, and then there's like basically the child labor, and she was like, are the genes possessed by the spirit of a dead child labor? And I was like, yes, verbatim. That's literally what happened.
Yeah. Very a vengeful spirit.
I mean, I guess in a weird way, I see it coming. I mean, again, if she could just guess like where it's going, but
yeah.
I think I just think everything is in execution, and I don't think they handled it very well. Like, I think if it were in there and tonally it weren't so like, there's something about this movie that feels very like 2010 for some reason. Like, and I'm like, I like that in a way. It's like kind of,
yeah, like the acting's pretty like kind of campy a little bit too.
It feels very like
more,
early, like when YouTube was mostly skits.
Yes, it does. It does actually feel like I can't remember. This feels like something that was maybe originally a short. That
I could definitely see that,
out and I think a full movie.
That makes sense though if it is that, because like that's what I always felt about it when I was watching it. I was like, I feel like this is two different movies that they kind of like. They had the idea of genes killing people, but they had to legitimize it by putting like everything else around it to make it a movie. Because it is quite short too. So if you didn't have all those things, it just wouldn't be like a feature length. Oh, excuse me, feature length film. So
yeah, it says it was never a short, but it is just it's only a little over like an hour and 15 minutes long. Like it's. And very short.
I will say, like, there are moments where the humor kind of does make more sense in context, because there's like the main boss dude, and he is like the first woman dies by getting like constricted by the genes and like cut in half and then shoved into a cabinet or something, and like the bathroom, like where they would keep like the extra toilet paper and stuff. The main girl and the boss finds it, and he's like, "Wow, that's crazy how she did this to herself. She was having such a rough time. I wish I would know." And just so that he doesn't have to give up on capitalism, he's like, "Wow,
yeah, exactly." Like, oh wow, it's everybody hide the body. The influencer's about to arrive.
Because this just wouldn't go well on the TL if everyone found out that we had a mutilated body in the bathroom too at some point, because somebody else got in it in the same bathroom and got taken out too.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it would have probably been more entertaining of a movie if it either A, figured out how to combine those two things a little better tonally, or would have done without it, to be quite frank. But I do understand that the movie wanted to I don't know, I feel kind of conflicted, because like with a movie like Killing Genes, do you need to have a point? Like, but I felt like it felt like it needed to make itself worth doing. And that's why I was like, I think Killer Genes is worth doing, just because why not? Like, if you're gonna go camp enough of like, again, inanimate objects coming to life killing people, you might as well just like say, fuck it. It's just for the fun, it's just for the ride, you know?
And then you get like the think pieces where other people are like, is Slaxx a commentary on fast fashion? And you can get all those think pieces, but now it's just kind of like, yes, it is.
The article. Yes. Send it over. So if you want to watch it, yes.
In terms of like how this was received, how do you think this would compare critics to audience wise?
I don't think either really liked it. I don't know off the top of my head, but I would imagine like critics would be like, eh. And then audiences would be like, I was expecting a more like movie just about killer genes. And then it ended up.
Yeah, this is really weird. And I'm sure I actually can probably explain why. So this was at Fantasia Fest, which is like a Canadian film festival that is smaller, and it's usually filled with a lot of like weird stuff and a lot of horror stuff and a lot of just, and it's mostly all indie, like smaller indie projects, and then occasionally stuff that like did small circuits like overseas in like foreign film festivals. But I feel like the type of people watching these movies on the critics side are maybe a little bit more open to things, because
they probably were into it.
There is 69 critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, which is actually a decent amount for this type of movie.
Yeah.
And it's got a 96%. Now, just to explain to audiences, because I feel like some people forget how Rotten Tomatoes works, but it's not like we're giving this a 96 out of 100. That is just 96% of the people who reviewed it fresh.
Yeah.
That means that they gave, and the way that it works I could literally give a movie a 2 out of 5 stars, but then say that it's fresh, being like, this is not a great movie, but I liked it, so I'm rating it fresh. And you can control that. Whereas like the audience side, if you give it anything lower than I think a 3.5, it's rotten. It's considered it rotten or something like that. It's one of the two. It's either 3 or 3.5. So I think people forget that. People are like, wow, 96%. This is like the best movie in the fucking world. It's literally just that 96% of critics gave it higher than they basically decided it was fresh. But that could be like a C+. That's like a C+. That could be like barely better than like shit. They're like, I don't hate it. And then it's only 4% of people gave it like really low. But then the audience side of things, 45%. Audiences don't vibe with Slaxx.
I mean,
but I don't know. I don't know too much.
I do wonder to some degree, like if they knew for audience scores or whatnot. I think what's really interesting about that in regards to, I think it does have something to do with like the very moralistic side of it. I think they were going in to see a movie about killer genes, and then they got like a poorly put together like moral about, you know, fast fashion. But I mean, I don't know, I guess. Because I'm sitting here like, do we like decide who can have the message or whatever? But I'm also like, this movie didn't do it very well, so I guess maybe a little bit.
Yeah, like I didn't have a bad time watching it, so I probably also would have given it like the 3 out of 5, like fresh, or like 2.5 out of 5, but then still give it the fresh to be like, you know,
it's okay
if it's on.
If you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, like I didn't have a bad time. But like some people are going like, some of the critic reviews are like, anyone who has worked in retail will surely relate to the film's beleaguered protagonist, paid too little and pushed to the brink in order to uphold the farce of capitalism. And I was like, whoa there. I worked retail for a long time.
And nobody got cut in half and stuffed in the face.
Like, yes, it was grueling. You get abused by customers. People do get trampled to death in the United States, and that's fucking horrifying. But like, no, this particular movie did not necessarily resonate. In that way. But
I just feel like retail is so soul crushing, and I'm sensitive. That's why I tried to avoid it as much as possible. I was like, please don't make me have to, because I will cry if I can't. If I can't cuss you out, I will cry. I wasn't built for it. I was like, if I'm a fucking barista and you're like, no, I asked for 3 shots and you gave me 2.5, and I'll be like, I can't call her a bitch. Okay. So I'm gonna just cry.
You're just gonna sit there and you're gonna be like 1 second and you're gonna just take a big sip out of it so there's room for the other shot.
Well, fuck me. Throw it out.
Oh my God. I feel like, were you like the type you were 1 step away from just like, if you were a barista and they said it was wrong, you were just gonna fucking chuck it at a wall and like hop out the drive-through window?
I was constantly like I think it's very much so I know my limitations. I was like, if you come in here and you give me a fucking order that's like, I want all the foam, but also no foam, and I want it to be lactate free, but also oat milk, I will cuss you out and they will fire me today.
Put extra whipped cream.
I used to see like Facebook videos when I was a kid that was just like early Karens just complaining. And I remember I saw this one of a woman that went into a Dunkin' Donuts and had like this long racist tirade because if you don't get your receipt, you're supposed to get a free donut or something.
Is that a thing?
This was like 10 years ago. I guess maybe people were upset that they weren't getting receipts for some reason. I don't know. And she's like, she goes in, she's like, here, like, I didn't get a receipt. And then she just goes on this like super racist tirade to these Indian people that were working there. And I was like, see, this would be my 13th reason. I will just go off at any given moment. I will start throwing jelly donuts at bitches, and I just know what my limitations are. So I was like, I can't be put in a place where I have to just say, okay.
Yeah, I most of my retail is like I worked at like a CD and record video store, so like not you can only fuck up so much there. But my first job was like pretzel maker, like soft pretzels. So you could fuck stuff like that up, but I just like that was enough for me. I was like, I did that, and I was like, I've covered the basis of food, and I will never do it again.
I definitely asked for 48 grams of salt, and not like the 32 you gave me. Throws.
Oh my god, some of them are weird. It's like you didn't dip that in enough butter, or you dipped that in too much butter. And I want half the butter, but I still want the toppings to stick to both sides. And it's like, ma'am, how do you think the topping's sticking to the pretzel? It's the butter.
Okay, wait. Now super on retail TikTok, though. This woman was like, she was working as a waitress at a restaurant. And the woman said that she wanted like a grilled chicken, but she still wanted it a little pink on the inside. She was like, ma'am, we are not allowed to feed you pink chicken. That is a health hazard. She was like, no, I mean, I want it cooked, but I still want like a little pink in the middle. Ma'am,
this isn't a steakhouse.
This is poultry. We cannot feed you fucking medium rare chicken. She like goes home and is like, fuck man, time for the next lawsuit plan, because that one didn't work. Obviously I must complain online and give a terrible Yelp review because they would not medium rare my chicken. And that's the last, and that's what I mean. I couldn't have like if I was arguing back and forth with a woman about whether or not we can cook you semi-raw chicken, I'd just be like, this is my 2 weeks. I can't do this. I can't do this.
I'm fucking done. This is my retroactive 2 weeks dated 2 weeks ago. Goodbye.
This is like when the bitch asked me to give her salmonella. I was like, no, this is it. I can't do it. I'm out of here. I'm done.
I get it.
But like,
oh god,
I guess to some degree for those working in like a Hollister now, or maybe even anywhere else that sells clothing in just, like a mall type place, if people still go to them. I don't know. People are.
I go to the mall.
You should. I mean, a lot of people are feeling like the nostalgia of malls and stuff recently because they keep. My heart.
I'm like, I'm old. What?
Well, no, because there is a nostalgia to it in the sense that a lot of malls are dead, and
that's fair.
And so people were like, well, that's fucked up. Like they were cool places to go and stuff like that. So, and like 16-year-olds are like, oh my god, a place that has a building? That's incredible.
We can just hang out in.
We can go to a building like brick and mortar. Wow,
that's crazy. You mean like they might not have the iPhone there right now?
Like it won't ship to my house. This is very vintage. I could actually go there and get like social interaction. That's crazy. And I'm into it because, I like the idea of going in and maybe also with people doing stonks on like on like GameStop or whatever. People were like, let's go back into the mall where GameStop and Bath and Body Works, where you can get like 48 hand sanitizers at the same time for $12. Let's go back to pretzels. And Cinnabon.
I do love a good mall pretzel. It's just good times.
Yeah. So if you are working in any of these retail places, perhaps this movie in some ways feels like a visceral representation of the retail experience.
I'm sure it does. It's like I resonate with Clerks a lot. So like I can understand why like this, especially in like the fashion side of things, like this could definitely do a thing. I am actually surprised that it's 96% for critics. Yeah. I just feel like this is a lot of like, we're just going to be nice to this indie movie, which I guess is nice, but
I will say, because undoubtedly the budget isn't particularly high, but the CGI was not bad.
Yeah, like it's fun and like it's like creative, and I do think that there's like a compelling idea there of what they're like going for. But I really feel like this is the type of movie that like if you were high, you'd be like, oh my God, it's Killer Jeans, and you'd be like, oh my God,
it's Killer Jeans.
Capitalism and Killer you know, like one of those.
I think I'd be freaked out by the moving jeans. What the fuck?
There you go. It's just adding to the whole experience. You
Let
know?
an acid drop right when they're moving, and it's like, it's over.
Yeah. Then they stand up, and you're like, shit, oh God.
Is this a movie or?
Oh God. So what are your final thoughts? You got some final thoughts. Like, what's your final score here?
Out of like 5, I'd give it.
Yeah, 5 or like 10.
Oh, out of 10.
I think like we like to use some. Is it the tent on fire trash, or is it like a delicious s'more, or does it somehow blend a mix of both?
I think it's closer to trash, but like it's like I'd give it like a 4.5, 5, maybe a little higher than that. I'll give it like a 5.5. It's a fun time. If you know what you're walking into, then you'll love it. But I think I did actually no, I'll give it a 6, because a lot of these movies don't actually make me laugh, and that was the thing that I was like, you know what, I did laugh through this movie, so I'll give it at least that. So
yeah, I think that's where I landed on it. Like when I Letterboxd is down right now, so I can't go back and check what I gave it, but I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. Like that seems probably, because I tend to like horror comedies a lot, so I can be a little bit like kinder to this kind of stuff because I just have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I don't. I think this is the type. Like I think there was like some really compelling ideas here, but then I don't know if they like fully actualized some of it. But it's definitely, it's not terrible. Like you can tell they had like a clear idea of what they were going for and how they wanted to express it. And they did like a pretty decent job for this being like, it's like a little indie movie, you know?
Yeah.
So, it made its way here, and it made its way out of Canada. I was shocked when they were like Slaxx, and I was like, oh my God.
Because I was getting ads for it from Shudder. That's how I first heard about it.
Okay.
And then,
crazy. That makes sense.
And then people started asking for it. Did you hear about the Killer Jean movie?
Hell yeah.
So that's great to hear.
Good old Shudder. All right. Well, I think that's probably going to do it for Slaxx. We went on a lot of tangents here, but I think that's fun. I think that's... we gave the people, if they want to maybe check out the movie, they've got enough information. Like if you're in for some like fun, creative kills with jeans, it's worth watching. You know, if you got Shudder, you can pop that shit on. It'll be a good time. We forgot to mention at the beginning to make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can catch more of Camp Counselors, but also Kenny's side project, In Defense Of, which is great, except for the most recent episode. But make sure that you follow us on Spotify as well to help us move up the ranks of the film and television section, because that's super cool. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in the form of a 5-star review, and we'll answer them on the next available episode. You can also find more butter on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Actually, they're also on Instagram.
Where can we find you?
Thank you so much for listening.
Where can we find you, Amanda?
Oh yeah, me. You can find me mostly on YouTube, but also a lot on Twitter and Instagram, and occasionally Twitch at AmandaTheJedi. And Kenny, where can we find you?
I'm on YouTube as KennieJD, also on Twitter, and also occasionally on TikTok when I remember.
Same.
Oh, and Instagram too, but I put my first photo in like 3 months on there, so.
Fair, same. I basically post my videos and I'm like, there we go. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode of the Camp Counselor podcast. We think we're going to do an episode of like your guys' unpopular movie opinions. So if you have any of those, feel free to leave those down below. But we'll also, or at least I'll be asking on my separate social medias. So you can get into arguments with us where you can't answer and we can belittle you.
Scott
Doesn't that sound fun? Stop. It'll be great. It'll be great. As always, remember to butter your popcorn. I love saying that in the worst way possible every single time. Good night, folks.